to share wins, bucket fills. Who wants to go? Hello? Where is everybody today? Any wins?
I've got a meeting for a listing coming up, hopefully on Thursday. So I'm gonna go look at their house. Tony G's gonna come with me. So
Nice.
yeah, so I'm excited about that.
That's exciting, Kate. How did you get that lead?
So they are a couple that bought with me about in June of 22. And they called me last week and they're like, we're wanting to maybe downsize a little bit. So they bought their home for like 3.8 in 22. So they're just wanting to buy something more in the $2 million range. So they just want to
Yeah.
see maybe what we can put it on the market for. So they've got two
So
boys that
maybe
are,
you sell a house for 5 mil and help them buy something for 2 million. That's a pretty
God,
nice round trip, wouldn't you say?
I love it. So yeah, I could
The
definitely use,
power of staying in contact with your database and your past
yep,
clients.
yep.
Good job. Anyone
Thank you.
else? Good news to share. Good news to share. Let's get one more person. Jeff, what are you sharing today that's good?
Um, Listing appointment here in about 2 hours for a
Yeah.
listing that expired last December. A pretty unique property here in Estes Park, somewhere in the 1.6 range.
Oh, nice. Love it. All right. It's a quiet group today. We're moving on. So here's some upcoming announcements. After today's lift session, Top of the Rockies is having an in-person meeting uh, at Frisco. And after this meeting, Mountain Properties is doing same. Top of the Rockies Lunch and Learn tomorrow, Frisco office. Every Tuesday, pro coaching with Katie Briggs. Every Wednesday, contracts with Rod. Every Thursday, accountability for those looking for a little bit more of that. There's four save the dates I want to tell you about. Number one, James Shaw is coming to the Douglas County School District Legacy Campus on the 25th of March, and he's going to be doing his shift workshop. It's a great opportunity to sorry, Rod is canceled this Thursday. I just got a note on that, or this Wednesday. Sorry about that. Great opportunity with James Shaw to spend some time talking about how to upgrade your business in 2026 so that you can sell more, even in a market that is not yet getting better. I mean, we all believe that 2026 is going to look a lot like 2025. The market's not going to help you. And some of the strategies that James shares on the 25th could. So think about that. Also, in upcoming events, starting April 6th, the market centers are going to run a 5 day in a row, I know, course called Productivity 120. This is a brand new course that KW is launching. It is going to be daily for those 5 days, running from 10 to 2. It is going to be on Zoom and in person at Edwards and Frisco. 4 hours, 5 days in a row. Day one is going to cover database and how to work your database. Who on the call could use more names in their database besides me? Everyone needs more names in their database. Day two is going to be about lead generation and lead follow up, because Kate just gave us a great example that when you sell a home 4 years ago, I think that was the math, Kate,
Yep.
and you follow up and follow up and follow up, that will turn into an eventual appointment. And gosh, if her follow up gets her a $5 million listing and a $2 million buy, that follow up is gold. Day three is going to be about presentations. And last week we had Holly Prescott talked to us about the power of presentations. And we're going to deep dive on Wednesday, the 8th of April, on how to have an amazing listing presentation and an amazing buyer presentation. On the 9th, the fourth day, we're going to focus on open houses and the power of the open house. And on day 5, we're going to talk about social media and AI. So Productivity 120, brand new course. It's going to be taught by KDR Pro Coach, me, Ryan, and Leslie. And we're really excited about this. There's more to Productivity 120 than those 5 courses, but we're not ready to announce that yet. Mark your calendars for May 14th. It's Red Day. More details about Red Day coming soon. And then also on June 12th, we are doing a special class at the Altitude Board of Realtors in Silverthorne called AI in the Mountains. It's just for our market centers. And it's with Lauren Lucas. Lauren Lucas was on stage at Family Reunion in Atlanta 4 or 5 times talking about AI. She is an AI expert. Now, she's coming to the region and teaching in Denver for our AI Summit. That's going to be on the 11th. And I've asked her to come out to Silverthorne, which is sort of centrally located between Vail, Eagle, Winter Park, Estes, sorry, Jeff, and Frisco, kind of central. She's going to come out and do a 3-hour workshop for us. And here's what I mean by workshop. Who here has taken an AI class or heard an AI speaker where it all sounded great and helpful, but you thought, if only they would slow down so that I could implement some of these things? Has anyone ever, besides me, experienced that in the yeah. So the price of entry for Lauren's class is that you're going to have a number of apps downloaded to your tools, your phone and your laptop. We're going to be in a tech-friendly space with apps and websites. And we'll ask you all to bring preloaded your credentials for these various sites. And then she's going to walk us through step by step how to use the tools. The specific topics that Lauren is going to address at AI in the Mountains are lead generation through AI and efficiency in your listing business through AI. So she knows that many of us sell in areas where our clients are coming from feeder markets all over the country and world. We're going to be talking about how AI can help you identify buyers and sellers that don't even live where we are before they call the competition. Does this sound like a helpful thing to anyone else besides me? Yeah. The class is complimentary, and the class is open to non-KW agents. Any questions about AI in the Mountains with Lauren Lucas? As mentioned last week, Holly Prescott is going to be in Denver April 8th and 9th teaching Train the Presenter with her husband, John. And also, as mentioned, if you're looking to get better at your listing presentation, your buyer presentation, or any presentation that you have, Train the Presenter is your tool for that. We're doing a luxury event April 23rd in Denver at the historic Evans School. It's with Brady Sandahl. It's going to be a 3-hour mastermind and class around luxury, what's working today. And then there will be a 2-hour networking happy hour. Being quite candid, the majority of the people that attend this event will be from Denver. And who on this call thinks that it would be great to get more referrals from people in the Denver market besides me? Yeah, this is one to fuel up your car and drive to and put up with in order to pick up the leads, because folks, we need more leads. The Rocky Mountain Summit is right around the corner. September 23rd, 24th, and 25th. It's at the Hythe in Vail. And the 23rd will be a luxury summit. And we've got more details to talk about on this soon. We announced on Friday at the awards that Jordan Freed is one of our guest speakers. So far this year, this season, we've announced Wendy Papazan will be there. Jay Papazan will be there. Lauren Lucas, who we were just talking about, is going to be coming for that event as well to talk about AI. And Jordan Freed is back. And all of these people are people that y'all have specifically requested that we bring to the Rocky Mountain Summit. Savannah Campbell, who is one of our family members on Top of the Rockies, is featured on the MREA podcast not this week, but last week. And she is talking about the growth-driven operations framework. So check that out. On next Tuesday, Scott Schumann is going to be our guest speaker. Now, here's what's interesting about Scott Schumann. Scott Schumann is the Chief Executive Officer and Chief Operating Officer for the Sue Adler team. If you were at the award ceremony at Family Reunion 2 weeks ago, you know that the Sue Adler team is the #1 group in all of Keller Williams. They sold more real estate than any other group in Keller Williams. And Scott's going to be on this at this session next week, talking about how they get so many listings. So you don't want to miss that opportunity to hear from an absolute star in our company. Congrats to our top individuals at Summit in February. Tony Giacconi was top agent, Lindsay Morrow #2, and Carrie George, who I think I just saw, #3. Congrats to all of you. On teams, the Thompson Group was #3, June's team #2, the Skinner team #1. Great job. For Vail, February, Will Rostron was 3rd, Cynthia was number 2, and Sam Malloy #1. Great job all. And for groups, Team Black Bear. Congratulations, great job. All right, I'm excited that Chris Lengquist is here today. Chris and I have known each other for a long time. When I was a team leader in the Greater Heartland region, Chris was a team leader in the Greater Heartland region. And then we both became MAPS coaches. And now, in addition to various other things like continuing to be MAPS coaches, I think Chris is an OP in Greater Heartland. You're an OP in Greater Heartland, Chris, right?
I am, yes.
Yeah. So Chris is going to talk to us about AI. And Chris, I know you need to use the screen and you can have it.
All right. Well, thank you. Listen, I'm not here to be an AI expert. I'm just here to be a guy who's using AI on a daily basis. And what I want to do is have real conversations about real AI usage. And so as I've sat here and I've listened, I just want to start with one thing, and then I'll just beg you for your cooperation. Like you're not supposed to beg, but I'm going to beg you for your cooperation. The first thing is, we had James Shaw last month, Russ, and all I could think of the entire time I was in that room was I wish 10 times our agents were in that room. And our agents buzzed about that. And listen, be it James Shaw. If you're not familiar with who he is, get familiar. And there is so much value that he's offering. And then lastly, anytime you can see Jordan Freed make the drive, just get in the car and make the drive. Jordan Freed, I think, is the coach that all of us want to be. I mean, he's brilliant. So that's the first thing. Now here comes the begging. I've got some things I want to show you in AI, but it works best if you ask your questions, because I want this to make it practical and I want to make it something that you can use. I don't even care if you agree with me. You can disagree with me and say, hey, I've got this different line of, because who do you really want to hear from? Do you want to hear from your fellow agents, or do you want to hear from some bald guy from Kansas? Like we want to participate like that. So anyway, I also have my own property management company, and we have about 860 homes that we manage. And we are now using AI for a lot of the communications that we're doing, as far as making sure that our emails are written better and more conclusively, so that we don't step on ourselves. But here's the thing that I hear over and over and over from especially top producing agents. I don't like the results I get from AI. Can you raise your hand if you've ever kind of felt that way and like you're not sure because it doesn't sound like you or it doesn't whatever. So here's what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about creating a conversation. I want to talk to you about creating a conversation with your AI to learn who you are. That's what we really want to kind of concentrate here for a little bit. Because when I sat down about 2 months ago, I sat down and I had an adult beverage, and it took me about 3 hours, and it took me a couple of adult beverages to sit there and really communicate with AI, my AI of choice. And I asked it to ask me a lot of questions. What are some of the questions you think I asked it to ask me? By the way, I raised 4 teenagers. I can sit here quietly till somebody answers.
What do I do for a living? What do you do for a living?
Yes. What do I do for a living? What makes me different? Right? I also asked it, and this is where it starts really getting important. I asked it, hey, could you ask me 5 questions to figure out what my moral code is? And then I sat there and I answered it. I said, could you ask me 3 questions about where my guardrails are? Could you ask me questions about what I believe and what lines I won't cross? I asked it all of these different questions. And I went through and I said, hey, here is a blog I've been writing on forever. Like, I don't know if any of you have ever done blogs or whatever, but if you've got any writing that you've ever done, let your AI of choice, which I'll go into in a few minutes, let your AI of choice read your past writings. Send it 3 or 4 emails that you've written somewhat recently about a tough deal you've had or a misunderstanding that happened. Send it to your Facebook page. Send it to your website and say, I need you to examine my social media. I need you to examine. And then when you get done with all of that, here's the $100 question. I want you to, now that you've taken all this information, I want you to describe who I am and what my voice is. I want you to describe who I am and what my voice is. Now, doing this work automatically puts you ahead of 99% of the real estate agents out there. Because most people aren't taking this time to really let AI get to know who they are and how they write and how they communicate. If you've got a YouTube channel, well, let's get to that in a minute. Okay. But I want it to know who I am and whatnot. Then, and this is where the ball gets dropped for the rest of the agents, copy and paste whatever it said about you, take it over to a Google Doc or a Word doc, and then change anything that you felt that didn't necessarily hit you. Argue with it. Put in what you think is right, then load it back in and say, this is who I really am. So I just kind of want to walk you through a couple of things here now real quick. I did all of this on ChatGPT. I spent time on ChatGPT figuring out how to do this. Now, one of the things that I used to love about ChatGPT before I started getting into the other AIs is that ChatGPT lets me create projects. You can see I have a project for Facebook. I have a project for my writing because I'm a writer. I love writing. I write a couple of real estate newsletters. I also write something about my past that is a fun project for me. I write because I love writing. I also have a photo editing one because ChatGPT will let you work with photos at the best level of any of the 3 major GPT or the chats or the AIs that I use. I have a teaching demos that we may dip into because I don't want it learning my voice. Let me just show you a thing. So here I was working with a property manager on creating their own voice. So by putting it in this folder already has instructions that never save what the conversation is for my voice. Did everybody hear that? never save these conversations so you can create project rules inside your projects. And I have projects for all these different things that we do. All right. Chat GPT, if you write nothing else down, write this. I think it's a great ideation AI. It's where I started. Then, after it had a decision on who I was, I carried it over to Claude. Now, in full transparency, I pay for the upgraded version of ChatGPT, and now I pay for the up version of Claude because they let me save projects. Here's a look at my projects in Claude. I have one for my real estate writing. Let's be very clear, and I want to give you some proof here real quick. If you subscribe to any of my real estate writing, what used to take me 2 to 3 days of writing and proofreading and re-editing myself, now I wrote something for my real estate newsletter this morning, realestatewriter.substack.com. This article, 90 Days to Getting Paid, the No Fluff Guide to Starting Real Estate. I wrote this, edited it, checked the grammar, and had it published in 55 minutes. And about 15 of those minutes were finding the right picture that I wanted. Because AI now knows my voice. And so I tell it what I want, and then it does it, and then I take it to I take it to Word, and then I change things that I thought were uncomfortable. And then I put it back in and I say, this is what I want. Now make it publishable. And then I just carry it over to my platform of choice, Substack. For my personal writing, I don't use any AI. I use AI for the pictures only, but ChatGPT makes these pictures for me based on my prompts. So you can learn, but all of the writing is mine. So it's however you want to do it. But when I went to Claude, I set up these different things. When I go into my real estate writing, I've got it broken down by newsletter. Here's what's really fun. I asked Claude about my marketing. I said, hey, here's how I do things, but this is what I want. And then so it checks out things about my branding, and it gives me, I have conversations with it about how to do better marketing for my real estate newsletters. Now, before I go on any further, I'm asking you for 2 questions or 2 comments about what you've heard so far.
Chris, I think this again is the thing that separates what I heard was this is the thing that separates what AI is going to create for you from what it creates for anyone else.
Thank you, Jeff. Absolutely.
I do have another, question, comment. As you're putting out all of this personal information about yourself, where is that like ethical line, and this is probably a much deeper conversation than what we can do here. But what is the ethical line, and when do we start to get concerned about identity theft and impersonation?
Yeah, I think that is an excellent question. I can't see you on my screen. What's your name?
I'm Leslie. Sorry, I'm driving.
It's okay, Leslie. So thank you for the question, because I think that goes through everybody's mind, right? Let me just ask some counter arguments on this. Are you talking to me on an iPhone or a Samsung phone right now?
Oh, I sure am, and I know they're all listening.
Yeah, they're all listening. There's a huge building in Southeast Washington, D.C. called the NSA. I'm letting you into my former investigator background in D.C. for 9 years.
Yeah.
And they're monitoring literally every call in the country. Now, that doesn't mean they're listening to you right now, but there are alarm words. Okay. You gave up your privacy. You gave up your privacy when you started getting on the internet. You gave up your privacy when you started. And listen, they can make AI videos about you now without you doing anything.
Very true.
Half the stuff you're seeing on the war in Iran isn't even real. It's now a full-time job. There are clues that will tell you. So, but here's the other thing, Leslie. I've been a writer. I've been writing about real estate since 2006, when I read a magazine blurb in Realtor.com that said blogging may be a way for real estate agents to get the word out and to show their expertise. And because I had nothing else to do that night, I went to WordPress, I started a blog, and I wrote on it extremely consistency to 2015. And I've written on it maybe 20 times since 2015. If you're a real estate agent, I need you to listen to the next thing I'm saying. I learned how to write about real estate doing that. And if you go back, it's called bbqcapital.com. Capital like money, bbqcapital.com. If you go back and read my early stuff in 2006, it's a little painful. Okay, it is. But I really started hitting my stride in the Great Recession. I have made, and this is not an exaggeration, millions of dollars from that blog. Because it's still published, it's still long tail. And last year I had 47 referrals that came through that blog that's still sitting there that I barely pay attention to anymore, but I link to it from my other websites. So if you're going to still be in real estate 10 years from now, start giving yourself away. I never charged for that blog. I never charged for that writing. And then when I started my AI, it had 25 years or it had 20 years of writing to go back and look at. Right? So it's got me pretty good, Leslie. I understand what you're saying. And I think it's a fair question. My kids have concerns about water and electricity and all these other kinds of things, which I think are very fair questions. I think there's ethical questions too. When I'm writing on the Process Server Chronicles, those are my stories and my words with my grammar. When I'm writing for real estate, it's in my voice because I've trained it, but I also don't hide that this I can do now in less than an hour what it used to take me 4 or 5 hours. Any other thoughts or comments or follow-up on that, Leslie, or anyone before we move on?
I have a question.
That's a real conversation. Thank you for that, by the way. And Jeff, you're right. This it saves me time because I taught it. I took the time. By the way, I had a Kansas basketball game in the background. Right, I'm a huge Jayhawk fan. Got a Jayhawk on right now. So, but you can do this. We're real estate agents. We're never working. We're always working.
Mm-hmm.
Russ, did you want to make a comment? I saw you take your mic
I
off.
think Travis did. That's why.
No, I did, Chris. I love the fact that you're saying you taught it your voice. And I know you mean the tone in which it writes on your behalf. How much of the programming did you use live voice chat versus typing?
Perfect. I did all typing. I'm a typer.
Okay.
Okay. But this is where I was going to take this next. After I took it over to Claude and I asked it to see what ChatGPT had said about me, and I even say, hey, it was over on ChatGPT. This is what it said about me. Based on your interactions, what do you think? And it gave me interactions. I said, great. Now put this into a style guide that supplements what I already saw. And then here's the answer to your question. Then I took it to Gemini. Do you all know that Keller Williams is paying for the upgraded version of Gemini for you? Are you aware of that? So if you go to your Keller Williams email, which I hardly ever use, you can go to your KW branded email, go to the 9 squares, go to Gemini, and you are getting the most recent, the most professional, the highest grade, and Keller Williams is picking up the tab for that. And what is the best thing about Gemini as AI?
Google.
Google.
And your Gmail.
And your Gmail. And for your specific question, who owns YouTube?
Google.
Google.
So Gemini can watch my video channels that I've done on real estate investing and being an OP here at the Keller Williams Market Center and say, listen to my videos, tell me your voice, and add to this style guide. Then no matter where I am or what project, if I'm starting a new project, I take that style guide, and the very first prompt in that project is read my style guide, ask me any questions if you have them. because eventually your project, your chats get so long that they take a couple of minutes to load, which is crazy. So then have a style guide, just say, create a style guide in my voice. Transport that PDF or doc, whatever you want to do, into your next project.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I find I had typing class on a typewriter, probably like you and many other people, but I don't type that fast. And so if I've got my buds in, I can talk with Chat or Claude or Gemini, and I can download my brain much faster than I can talk.
Before I jumped on here, Trent, I was teaching a class in my market center, and we had 4 people really giving some great ideas. And I was giving my opinion, but there was also like 15 other people in the room. And in my heartfelt 26 years of real estate, a lot of that as a leader in a leadership position. When you hear other people talk, when you hear me talk about AI, I'm excited to where you're going to take it. Learn about what is working for other people, but don't try to be that other person for more than about an hour. Try the jacket on, see what fits, see what doesn't fit, but then turn it into you. This is your permission to be the best version of you possible by stealing little bits from everybody, but not being anybody else, because it usually doesn't fit right.
You talked about it being what did you say? A thought generator, I think you said.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the word you used. But we were at family reunion, and what was the storyteller's name? The one wearing the corduroy and denim.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. I read this book years ago. Yes.
Yeah.
Don Miller.
Don Miller, that's it.
Don Miller. He talked about magic words and what our magic words are, knowing your magic words, and failing having, a group around me where we sit down and come up with that. I just put my buds in and talk to Chat GPT about what those would be. And while the suggestions from Chat GPT are not what I ultimately use, it lets me bounce back and forth off of chat. And there is an evolution of that dialogue and those thoughts so that I wind up with my own thoughts. It helps me delve into my own thoughts.
Absolutely.
I can do that while driving.
Yes.
That's wasted time otherwise.
I'm often talking to chat while I'm driving.
Can I share something that I've been doing with AI lately that might be helpful?
Yes, absolutely. You're in charge, man.
Well, but we hired you. But I learned at family reunion this year about creating custom GPTs. And I had never thought about that. I thought it was like something that only like people that are really into this do. But then Lauren Lucas actually in one of her breakouts talked about creating custom GPTs. And to Travis's point, I don't know if you all have ever experienced this, but sometimes you read a book or you hear a keynote and you think, I really love how that person thinks. So for example, I love Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. So what I learned at family reunion is that I can create a custom GPT, upload a PDF of any author's book or books that I love. And then when I'm trying to deal with a problem, I can go into my custom created GPT and say, how would Will Guidara handle this situation? And it will use all of the person's info to create a solution that is custom tailored. Because I don't know if it's just me being 53, but I have things that I would love to implement based on learning that I've done over the years. But when I sit down to do it Russ Nolting style, it doesn't quite hit who I aspirationally would like to be. Does that make any sense, what I just said there?
So let me give you a real life example of that, Russ. And this is what we're talking about. If you have writings, even if it's you've been using the same email for 10 years, here comes the confidentiality issue, Leslie. You want to be careful. But when I let it read what I've written for 20 years, it now brings up things that I used to say that I forgot that I used to say, but they work, so I'm saying them again.
Yeah.
Like one of the things it brings up that I used to say all the time is everything is fine until it's not. I'm a property manager. Document everything. Everything is fine until it's not. Because 15 years down the road, the owner who gave me that home thinks he gave me the Taj Mahal. I remember a shack. So years ago, we started photographing every inch of a house the day we took it over.
Chris, you just gave me an idea on that. You're absolutely right about documenting everything, and maybe we have a conflict, maybe whatever something happens, we really should be taking notes on it, but we don't slow down to do that. We got to go, go, go. But we could have our earbuds in and have a chat thread for each property. Say, hey, go to the 123 Main Street thread. Make a note that this happened today.
Yeah, or Firefly or Otter. And then Otter and Firefly can turn, you can say, I need an exact transcript, or you can say, give me an executive summary. And then it gives you an executive summary and you pop that over to the owner, seller, or buyer.
But those you have to have on while in the conversation, right?
I'm sorry?
Do you have to have those two on while you're in the conversation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can use it as a dictation machine as well.
And you use it as an add-on to just an iPhone call?
Yep.
Hmm.
Or you could just use it as a tape recorder.
Mm-hmm. But does it only get one side if it's a tape recorder?
Well, if you're the only one talking, yep. Yeah, but I'm talking about if you're walking through a house.
I got you. I
Yep.
got you. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So if there's anything that AI is all different things. We just talked about Firefly and Otto. Those use AI. Chat GPT, I think, is great for ideation and general knowledge. I think Claude is fantastic for really narrowing down my writing, but it tends to be the high C of the version. Like for any of you that know the DISC program, Chat GPT is an I. It's an I personality. Let's talk, and it is constantly trying to draw you into more conversation. Claude says, "Give me the details, man," and this is the details. And by the way, I'm a person who loves numbers, and there's a politician I don't like in my state. So I fed all of the campaign contributions and all the expenditures into Claude, and Claude said, here are 3 questions you might want to ask this politician. And then I went back and researched, those are great questions to ask that son of a gun. Right? So, and then Claude is great for anything detailed. Gemini, use it as your marketing assistant. Gemini has all of the world's information in Google. Going to Leslie's point, am I concerned about privacy? Google probably knows more about me than I do. Okay, so use it. I even have chats with Gemini that, oh, by the way, pay attention to this. I have chats in Gemini about my side project of campaign finance and about my side project of my process server chronicles. And then it dawned on me, we have to be in charge of our own, that this is owned by Keller Williams and I can't get rid of these. Keller Williams owns them. So if you're using your Keller Williams Gemini, just pay attention that belongs to Keller Williams. Now, I'm not saying that anybody down in Austin's going, what is this guy talking about process servers for? Okay, but if you're starting to talk about other things, you might want to maintain your privacy by going to a different Gemini. Your regular Gmail, you can use that, okay? But this is your marketing assistant. It will help you figure out an entire marketing plan in no time whatsoever. So let me go to my Gemini under my personal name. Okay, so here I have a topic, SEO and topics for Process Server Chronicles. And then you just go up to the top and you can see right from the very beginning, that's how long the conversation is. It just keeps going on and on and on. But you can just start the conversation. All the light gray is me. So creating a bridge, SEO and topics, as we have a conversation, please review this site. And then it comes in and it says, okay, I reviewed it. This is what I'm seeing. This is what great. As I ask the next questions, what I'm looking for you is an honest review, the pros and the cons using, by the way, Google always wants, AI always wants to be your friend. It wants to tell you how wonderful you are and what a smart person you are. And as high energy, high I real estate agents and high D real estate agents, maybe not so much the S's and C's, but high D's and high I's, pay attention. You're not that wonderful. You think you're that wonderful. I'm a high D. I can be high I for a little while, but AI wants to tell you how wonderful you are. Ask it to give you the cons. Ask it to push back, and it will. Pros, here's your cons, okay? And every once in a while, I think it was over on Claude. Claude one time said to me, it said, hey, what you're not thinking about is this. You gave me permission to push back. Here's my pushback. And I was like, thank you. If nothing else, I had to slow down. But like this morning, I wanted to write something for Facebook, and I don't usually go to AI to write my Facebook posts, but I was feeling compelled. I said, the world has wars, inflation, bad leadership. I'm Chris Williams. You can search my writing. I want to write something in my voice. And it came out with this for Facebook. Like, who's reading that on Facebook? Nobody. So I said, all right, that's great, but I want 180 characters. Right? And then it said, okay, here's 3 options. And I said, well, okay, well, I don't like that. So I changed this one. And then it says, great, gives me the reasons why it was good. And then I actually, if you read this and then go over to my Facebook page, you'll find that they're actually different. But I can't remember who was saying it. What happened was the conversation got started. And then by the time I put it into my words on Facebook, it had everything going. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay.
Chris, I've noticed with AI, the more I use it, the more I find that it does try to tap into my high I and tell me things that it thinks I want. There was a speaker somewhere somewhat recently who suggested like treating your AI assistant very well with lots of pleases and thank yous. And lately I'm hearing experts saying you need to kind of rip it apart a little bit. And I've started saying, I think what you just told me is complete nonsense. Start over, and it will very often correct lots of mistakes and find those when I do that. And the one thing I think that you can tell between someone who's using AI well and someone who has just started is the just started people put a lot of crap out and a lot of nonsense that if they would just say, I don't think any of this is true, start over, it would fix it all.
So my style guides have that in there.
Yeah.
Don't agree with me unless you really agree with me.
Yeah.
Push back. Whenever I say, whenever you give me 3 things you like, I want 3 things you don't like. I want to know the cons.
Yeah.
Right. So program that in there. I still use pleases and thank yous in my conversations with somewhere. Oh, here we go. At 5:30 this morning, when I was up and writing and I was running something through, AI, Jim and I kept crashing. So I started my car. You've been broken all morning, really hit and miss. Are you okay now? And then it gave me this explanation. I'm fully aware it's a computer from a large language model. It's not real. But I like the dialogue because it learns how I talk and how I behave. So yes, you can rip it apart and all those other kind of things. I think you're better off going back to the beginning of this call, because I think we're almost out of time. Going back to the beginning of this call, I think that what you want to do is you want to set it up so that it knows who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have a couple closing points, but Travis, I see you have a question. If you need to go, go.
No, it was that on that point, Chris, I think that's really important because over the past 20 years, we have learned to search through Google, and there is a certain syntax and a certain language that we use. If I was to find you, I would say, Chris KW, Kansas, right? And try to find you through Google search that way. And we're just programmed to search that way. And now we're going to start using AI for answers and search. And if we talk naturally to it, our speech language won't get augmented. And I think that's one of the biggest risks as we type is the way we type, the way we communicate with these systems changes the way our brain thinks. And we may start talking like that to others. So it's best to stay courteous and best to,
We're the humans, Travis.
right? Exactly.
We're in charge until it becomes sentient.
Then our robot overlords hopefully will have.
All right. So here's my last 2 points. The first one is if you go to Connect and you search AI playbook and then you sort from new to old, here's an AI leadership playbook, and here's an open house playbook, and here's a code book, here's a code book, and here's an AI playbook for SEO and GEO on December 1st, 2025. Go check these out. But the biggest thing you can do, the action step to take away from here, I'm not coaching anymore. I'm being the old man on the hill. I am 60. I'm being the old man on the hill, and I'm saying, teach it who you are, and then use that to your advantage.
Right.
And I would invite any of you to find me on Substack, real estate writer. Just do a search for real estate writer or do a search for the Process Server Chronicles. This is when I was an investigator for 9 years. These are my stories, no AI, but they may not all be G-rated because being an investigator isn't G-rated. But my real estate writer is just know that 90% of what you see on here, AI wrote with me putting in the prompts for it. Because if you go back, here's what I did. We're going to write an article for real estate. This is today's thing. We're going to write an article for real estate agents. I want you to see my voice because it's already done that. Got it. I read it. Knows great. Here's what I want. I want 1,400 words. I want a nice preamble. These are the 5 areas these are the 5 newsletters we're going to do because of this series. Great. And we're going to revisit the database, who's in your database, that kind of thing. I gave it the things I wanted, and then look what it popped out. It popped out. Come on, Claude. So it popped out this article, and then I took this article over to Word, and then I reloaded it back in. I reloaded it back in. I said, and it said solid revision. The additions make it yours. One honest observation. We just talked about that. The numbered list of the failure breaks the flow of the title. I would suggest taking it out essentially. But you know what? I published it with it in because I'm in charge. I liked what it was doing. It only knows what it's been told. Okay. And then I changed 1-2 little things right there. And this took less than an hour to write about a 4 to 5 hour article. And that's what I wanted to leave you with today. Your productivity can go up, but if you're going to do nothing else, get your voice in there.
Love it. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate your help today. And thanks for contributing to our session. Everyone, next Tuesday, Scott Schumann from the Sue Adler team. Don't miss. Talk soon. Bye-bye.